My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. We're going to have a very interesting show today. Going to last about an hour. A lot of things happened today. While they got everybody watching Smollett, you missing out on what's really happening, the corruption that's happening, okay? You missing the fact where a judge, that when he was assistant state's attorney, he and the special prosecutor in the same courtroom, Mr. Malign, did this to Gerald Reed that's criminal, to the fact that while you watching Smollett, you watching crime, you missing the crime that's unfolding in the courtroom today. This show is brought to you by none other than a woman that has produced this show, helped me get the material for this show, because she knows I'm passionate about criminal justice reform and public safety. She also helped me pick some of the special guests that you see on this show. She's the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. None other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. I want to start this show with this special news report.
You want to follow your passions. Bright House Smart Care is a hybrid life insurance and long-term care product. It protects your family while providing long-term care coverage should you need it. Talk to your advisor. Bright House Financial. Build for what's ahead.
At 11, hopes dash for a Chicago man who had hoped to be released from prison after 30 years. In a surprise move, a judge has decided Gerald Reed will not get a new trial and continue his life sentence. CBS 2's Eric Cox joins us live from Layton Criminal Court with reaction from Reed's supporters. Eric?
There's a lot of upset and emotional people here right now. Dozens of loved ones and other supporters of Gerald Reed are here at the courthouse. They are not happy, coming here demanding Gerald Reed's release, and now they're leaving the courthouse with those hopes dashed. The judge who first challenged and pushed for a new trial over a year ago now retired, and the new judge who took over the case today has overturned that previous decision, meaning Gerald Reed will once again spend the rest of his life behind bars, at this point at least. That decision came down just about 30 minutes ago. The now 56-year-old was first sentenced to life in jail after being convicted of a 1990 double murder. But Reed says he was battered by detectives who, under the direction of disgraced former Chicago Police Commander John Burge, forced him into confessing to a crime that he never committed. Reed claims those beatings were so bad, detectives broke a titanium rod that was holding his fractured femur in place. He had to live with that injury for over 25 years, taking pills to deal with the pain until a federal lawsuit granted him surgery in 2016. 33rd Ward Alderman Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez joined the ranks of Reed supporters. So too did his mom and members of several social justice organizations. Here's what they had to say about the decision minutes ago.
This is an example of additional cover-up. The era of John Burge is not over. It's continued to be cover-up right now. Yes. Everyone who is a part of that, from the legal system, from the judge, from the state's attorney's office, are complicit in the continued brutality of our people. Gerald Reed should be freed. His conviction was vacated 14 months ago. There's no reason that he is in Cook County Jail right now.
As far as the justice system, I am so surprised. I never would have thought that this judge would do what he did today.
Several of the supporters are left, but there are still a few that are here right now. As you can see, it was very emotional. A lot of anger in those words that you just heard, again, because they felt like they were completely sideswiped by this decision today, not realizing that this was what they were coming to see. Instead, they thought they were going to hear about the new trial and when it would be. Instead, they got this news. Now they're just hoping that the chief judge will be able to do something about this. And if not him, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who's able to enact some sort of ordinance that could bring about a civilian police accountability board. Again, these are their options, and they're hoping that one of them will prevail. Now, Mary Cox reporting live at the Layton Criminal Courthouse, CBS 2 News.
Eric, thanks so much.
You know, I was at that courtroom today. I've been helping Gerald Reed for the past 6.5 years. I'm the one that went and got the attorneys for him to represent him. What I witnessed in that courtroom was an atrocity, and that judge should have recused himself because he was an assistant state's attorney involved in the prosecution, along with Mylan, who is the special prosecutor in Gerald Reed's case, of Aaron Patterson, who was a torture victim on death row, where Governor Ryan gave him a pardon. So that judge was supposed to recuse himself. He wasn't supposed to even take that case. He should have been sitting in the adjudication of any John Burge torture victim. The judge gave an order, specific order, before he retired. This judge that turned that case or reversed that judge's decision was supposed to only give Gerald Reed a hearing date. The two motions that were being argued in the case was a motion to get rid of the indictment and a motion to give this man a bond. The decision that this judge made in that case today to reverse that decision from that judge to vacate Gerald Reed's sentence because of his torture had nothing to do with the two motions that were being argued. What it had to do is just like what that young lady said, a continuation of criminal activity by corrupt former assistant state's attorneys who are now judges, former assistant state's attorney who is now the special prosecutor, and he shouldn't be allowed to even have that position by law. And the county is constantly paying these guys money to reverse righteous decisions by judges because of John Burge torture victims. I'm saying this because I want you to pay attention to this commentary that I'm about to read to you.
Only the walls are left in about half the home. This happened in Minooka overnight in a rural area on Bell Road. Here's a map to show you.
I don't got techno dis. Hold on 1 minute. Anyway, it came out. It came out January the 4th. A story. I'm going to find it for you right quick. It's a comment. There it is. There it is. There it is. Let me get it for you. There it is. commentary, what justice looks like in Chicago. It's a story that came out January 15th, 2020. And it reads, in a pair of upcoming cases, Associate Judge Thomas Henley, Henelli, will have the fate of 3 wrongful convicted men in his hands, given who put them behind bars. His rulings could send a signal that Chicago has firmly turned its backs on the legacy of police torture and wrongful convictions that hangs over the city. But given Henley's direct involvement in prosecuting police torture victims and his attempt to hide racist constitutional violations, Chicagoans would be remiss to expect impartiality from the bench. That's the same man that today made a decision that Gerald Reed should be sent back to the penitentiary. In one of the cases, that of Gerald Reed, Henley is deciding whether a man tortured by the infamous John Burge police crew, tortured to the point of having his leg broken, and tried solely on the basis of a false confession, should be subjected to the injustice of a second baseless trial after his criminal sentence was vacated. And the other, he is deciding whether evidence of wrongdoing warrants a special hearing of Juan and Rosado Hernandez, 2 brothers who were framed by Detective Renato Guerrero, who has had 20 convictions tossed so far. Burge and Guevara are the 2 most infamously abusive and corrupt cops in modern Chicago history. The twin terrors of police crimes in Chicago, accused of torturing, framing, and wrongfully convicting hundreds of black and brown men. 2 cases involving Chicago Police Department's most offensive stains, and 1 judge who could change the course of so much, a judge whose very election to the bench is tainted by an attempted cover-up of a racist act. Who is the judge? Thomas Henley is the impartial arbitrator of the law, ruling from the ratified air of the bench, causally removed from the slime and the muck of police and prosecutorial corruption. The killing part about this, and we're going to get back to this, is that Milan is the special prosecutor in Gerald Reed's case. Hear me out. Milan was a former assistant state's attorney up under Devine, and he's the special prosecutor in Gerald Reed's case. Henley, the judge, was an assistant state's attorney dealing with Burge torture victims. He was prosecuting the police torture victims. He was a part of the cover-up, the Burge cover-up torture. Milan, while both of them were a part of the tainted and corrupt state's attorney's office, Milan was his boss, dealing with special prosecution within the state's attorney's office before Kim Foxx got there. Now, Henley is a judge. His boss, Milan, former boss, Milan, is a special prosecutor in a courtroom adjudicating cases that's dealing with Burge torture victims. While they got y'all watching Smollett, You missing what they are really doing. They want to turn the state's attorney's office back to the era of Daley, Divine, Anita Alvarez, Bird's torture cover-ups, Laquan McDonald police cover-ups, and the cover-up. And we're going to get to the special prosecutor in the Smollett case, Dan Webb, in a minute. Dan Webb was a special prosecutor in the case where Daley's nephew was involved in a young man getting killed on Rush Street. Caller, I see you. Could you state your name? Caller?
My name is Joseph Broom. When you talk about in the area 2 where Commander Byrd was at, there was a person just as bad, just as worse in terms of history. And his name was Two Gun Pete. That's the character they got from the movies in terms of Dirty Harry. I am a voter. And when I look and see in terms of Cook County State's Attorney, I don't know who to vote for. They both got some skeleton in their closet and with some meat still left on the bone.
Hey, let me stop you right there.
About the other one.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. The era you speaking of, Kim Foxx, ain't nothing about that era. If you don't know the difference in Daley regime, Devine's regime, Anita Alvarez regime, and the difference that Kim Foxx is doing, let me help you because you said you don't know. Vote for Kim Foxx. But back to the matter at hand. That judge, since they talking about that Kim Foxx recused herself in the Smollett case, how about this Judge Healy today? Why did he recuse himself from this case? Caller, I see you. State your name, please. Caller?
Yeah, this is James Gibson.
Hey, James. I'm glad you came in. I was about to play your clip. I'm going to play it later, but I got you on the line. Tell the people who you are and what has happened to you.
What this is James Gibson. I've just been exonerated and cleared of all charges of falsely imprisoned, wrongful conviction, malicious prosecution, torture. I'm the first African American that the court has ruled, the appellate court has ruled that an African American has been tortured on the soil of the United States since the abolishment of slavery.
How many years did you serve in the penitentiary wrongfully?
I served 29 years, 4 months, and 7 days.
Okay, were you a part of the, 12, maybe 14 individuals that had got their certificates of innocence the other day and Kim Foxx was there?
Well, let's set the record straight. The 12 guys that came up, they had got what they call their cases thrown out, the convictions thrown out, and they had to come back for a certificate of innocence. I was a part of my own situation where I was asking for the county to acknowledge that I was not guilty when charged in 1989.
Okay. And then you got your certificate of innocence?
Yes, I was issued my certificate of innocence, yes.
Okay. Caller came on before you, and he was trying to explain to me about Two Gun Pete, and he didn't know who to vote for state's attorney. But I had to let him know that era back then, up to Daley, Divine and Alvarez, and the Bird's torture things, is way far cry than Kim Foxx and Smollett. Am I correct?
You're correct.
You know, so share with them the little thing that you can share, because I know you still in some form of litigations to get.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, this is my third reversal. My second reversal was in 2018, where the courts ruled that by the officers pleading the fifth that the judge should draw interference, and then the circuit court judge would not open up the record to allow in the appellate court reversal, instructing her to do a certain thing. So I filed another appeal, and then the third time the judge is ruled in the appellate court. I had no dissensions. I had 4 concurrent votes where the judge finally ruled vacate Nolly process and throw out the statement of John Burgess torturing me. I was brought 5 deals from the state in the last 7 years to take alpha pleas, time considered served, $1 million, $100,000, $5 million, withdraw my appeals, and they'll let me go. When I came back on the eve of the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the birthday of my mother, who passed away 18 years ago, fighting for my name to be cleared, I was released April 11 last year. And I filed a motion to remove the special prosecutors because Milan was not playing fair, in that I found out that he was a part of the Divine era and Everest era. So I filed a motion to remove special prosecutor Milan, and I put in my motion that I felt that the newly elected State's Attorney Kim Foxx I would have a fair shot, and that she was fresh and clear of any wrongdoings of her predecessors. And the chief judge agreed, and he appointed Kim Foxx, the state's attorney, to deal with the remaining John Burgess torture case. I would like to also point out that my case not only was the first case that they ruled that there was collaborating and proven torture in the country, but also that Kim Foxx had no longer played a part or didn't play a part of any conflict of interest, and that her office was clear of all wrongdoings of the atrocities that had been taking place up under the Midnight Crew. I would also like to point out to the public that not all officers are bad. I'm not saying all officers are bad, because my sister's a Chicago police officer. My brother-in-law is a Chicago police officer. My cousins are Chicago police officers. I'm just saying that I came up under the Midnight Crew, and they were bad. And
hey,
so
man, is your relatives named Wooten?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, that's my man. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah. That's my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yes, he's been a Chicago police officer for many decades and worked up under Obama as a special detail. Anyway, that's not what I'm called. I'm just saying that I want the public to know that all officers are not bad. And so Kim Foxx was appointed because the Chief Judge Martin ruled that there was no longer a conflict of interest, and he appointed Kim Foxx to represent the remaining torture cases because of the ruling that came down on the appellate court the third time. My case controls the jurisdiction and the subject matter of the generalizations of any type of torture-involved allegations.
You know, I'm glad you made mention to my viewing and listening audience about what you went through with Mr. Milan. Okay? Today at court, in Gerald Reed's case, it was found out that Milan and the judge that was adjudicating the case worked together as assistant state's attorneys, and Milan was his boss. That's really a conflict of interest to the highest degree. I believe that judge should have recused himself, and he shouldn't be sitting in adjudication of any of the people who have been tortured by John Burge and his crew.
Well, you know, I also came aware of that information about the judge and Milan as being co-workers once upon a time, and it was for the judge to recuse himself because he couldn't be fair. He supposed to recuse himself up on a biased deposition. But let the record reflect also that the lawyers that represented Gerald Reed in that case, they fumbled the ball, man.
Yeah.
They fumbled the ball because they allowed the Milan to get in. And what I mean by that is that if you go to the record in the Gerald Reed's case, the first motion that his lawyers filed was a motion to vacate and dismiss the indictment. And the second motion they filed was the removal of the special prosecutor, because I was in court last year when they tried to consolidate my motion to remove Milan with Gerald Reed and several other guys.
Right.
And I moved to not be consolidated with those guys because my case had already been vacated and not in process. Now, with that issue that I'm bringing up right now is this. I'll get back to the dismissal and the removal of the special prosecutor and the bond that the lawyers fumbled the ball. When his lawyers came, when Gerald Reed was given a new trial, he was given a new trial by a sitting circuit court judge. Make no mistake about it. The judge is bound by the appellate court. The appellate court is bound by the Illinois Supreme Court. So the judge is not bound by anything other than his own discretion at that level, because Gerald Reed's case was given a new trial based upon the officers being uncredible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It never came back down through the appellate court. But once he was given a new trial, his lawyers were supposed to move to remove Milan immediately, because once he went from 725 Illinois Controlled Statute, the 735 Illinois Controlled Statute, the 775, which is the Illinois Torture Relief Commission Act, then he no longer had jurisdiction to even prosecute the case anymore.
Correct.
Because it's no longer a post-conviction or 725 or 735 or akin to a third stage evidentiary hearing, torture relief hearing. You see what I'm saying? So that's where they was wrong from the beginning. Soon when the judge gave him a new trial and Milan came and said, I'm representing the people, his lawyers supposed to file rest judicata, procedure bar, collateral stop from anything he had to say. And on top of that, he didn't have jurisdiction to even represent the states on that level, because he was no longer convicted up under 725, 735, 775. That's one. Then they dropped the ball when his lawyers filed that motion to dismiss the indictment. Once they filed that motion to dismiss the indictment and they filed the motion for the remove the special prosecutor, the sitting judge didn't have jurisdiction to hear a SOJ. He had to automatically send it back down to the chief judge, which he did, and that took it up out of his discretion. But the motion to dismiss the indictment was his jurisdiction, so he put the bond on the back burner because the bond was filed last. If they came through the door and filed the motion for the bond and then strike Milan from being handling that case, barred from handling that case up on the jurisdiction and subject matter, then they would have ruled on the motion for the bond because Gerald Reed was no longer convicted of a crime.
Correct.
And so therefore that would have gave him the opportunity to be bonded out or to have a hearing to determine what they have and what they don't have to hold him, because he no longer have no conviction.
That's right.
But by his lawyers filing that motion to dismiss the indictment first, the judge can take jurisdiction over that motion because he's sitting on the bench as a circuit court judge, and this is not a reverse remand back to him, instructing him to do anything other than to a new trial, because another judge gave him a new trial. And see, that's what people get confused at, my brother. We talk a lot. We got a lot of passion. We talk a lot, but we are a land of laws and policies.
That's right.
Due process of law, equal protection of the law. It's just saying we can rally, we can shout, we can knock down the walls, but if you don't know the Constitution and the due process and equal protection of the law, they're gonna continue. Prisoners in life will continue to be a way of life for many of us.
Right. You know, I want to say this, you know, before I let you go, because I know you moving, because I saw you with your tears, and I'm going to play that for my viewing audience and things. Now, I ain't saying you no crybaby, but I know you got a lot of passion because your mother died, your brothers, and you know what I mean? But you stood strong in your conviction. Not your conviction of the case, but your conviction of the fact that you was innocent of the case.
Let me say something. I was kidnapped at a young age, man, and I was held in the custody for 98 hours. And then after they beat the confession out of me, they released me. This is what the public don't know. Where do they let an African American go after being charged with a double homicide of a Caucasian and an African American after he confessed to a double murder in America. They don't. They did me. Where do you go into back? You know, when I came into the system, they didn't have the traditional lineup where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1, turn left. Number 2, turn left.
Right.
It used to be I come up out of area 3.
Wow.
And at that time, they had a door. It was a little window where you would go individually and you would stand in front of the door, and whoever was on the other side of the mirror would point you out, and then they would take a photograph of you, and they would sign on there, he'd been identified, he didn't. For 26 years, they held the evidence of suppression of the lineup identification when the guy that was identified as the perpetrator in this case, and they said it was me, but it wasn't me. Now, on top of all of that, I have records where John Burgess called down to the county jail in 1990 and told me, nigga, ain't nobody gonna believe that we did whatever we did to you because I'm the commander. He took over the OPS investigation. I was the first African American in 2018 called Michael Goldstone. For the people that don't know who Michael Goldstone is, Michael Goldstone was hired by the late, great Harold Washington to investigate the Chicago Police Department. And I called Michael Goldstone to the stand in 2018. Put the articles up on from Chip Mitchell, who did the article when I pulled Michael Goldstone to the stand. These people, I got a memo. These people knew that they had the wrong guy, but yet still they say kill him anyway. The case was weak, and that even before I figure out what's going on, I'll be dead.
And man, just think how many has died. When you see how many are coming out.
Myself, I've witnessed 27 guys die. And 10 of them was a part of the John Burgess era that had bring allegations against them from the death row to guys with natural life. I've seen 10 guys myself, but I know 25 guys that died. I've been in Pontiac, Stateville, Menard, Joliet, every max penitentiary in the state. I've never been to any minimum farm, none of that. I've been behind the wall. And I'm saying this here is that for far too long, the city of Chicago has gotten away with these atrocities. The House of Scream, when they removed all African-American officers working in the police station in Area 2 and Area 3, they let John Burgess do what he did.
And who was the state's attorney then?
Well, I don't know if the public is old enough to remember this, but the first African-American state's attorney that we had was Cecil Portis.
Right.
He mysteriously died in office. I think he was only state's attorney for about 3-4 months. He was a black guy, and then Ryan came in, and then Beatty came in.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I was falsely arrested in 1989, and I was arrested up under an African American state's attorney named Cecil Portis, but he wasn't the one that indicted me because he died after I was arrested mysteriously in office, and then Ryan came in and he indicted me with these phony papers. But let me tell you something else. Where in Illinois or in America that an African American is taken and placed in prison for 29 years with no profile or tattoo scars or markings on his body? And wow. I've been to every match. Where in America do you go into a prison system and they don't have no record of your tattoo scars or marking on your body?
Man,
this is such a cover-up, conspiracy, false frame, malicious prosecution, false imprisonment, wrongful conviction, torture. See, a lot of people talking about the torture because it's a historical ruling, because for 300 years we have tried to prove to this country that they've been torturing us. They still torturing us today. Thank God for cameras and stuff. But where in America do a chief judge take an inmate, a petitioner or defendant, which was me, into his own custody chambers and take pictures and sign them with his judge number and send you right to the hospital? I was never processed in the county jail.
Wow.
I don't know this, but they're going to find out in 3 more weeks. I was never processed in the county jail. I came straight from Area 3 the second time, and they pushed me straight in front of the chief judge. The chief judge took me into custody, took pictures of my injuries, and shipped me straight to the hospital. That's how bad I was messed up for 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
Man.
And they covered it up until I wrote 10,000 letters. When I said the other day on the news media, I wrote you, and you. I wrote every news media outlet in America. I wrote every local and cable channel in America. I wrote every senator, state, congressman, city councilman, the president of the United States, U.S. attorneys, attorney generals in America. I used to go to the law library and pick up the Sullivan's dictionary that had names in them. And I would take 10 names every time I went there, and I would write 20 letters a day.
Man. Hey, then, brother.
Thank God for Kim Foxx.
Yeah.
Having the heart to step up to the plate and not challenge a certificate. How you going to challenge a certificate of innocence when the special prosecutors and the states drop the charges? Because I wouldn't give up my certificate, they call themselves stalling. But once you get a vacated conviction, reverse remand, and the statement that's used to convict you thrown out, and there's no fruit of the poisonous tree, you meet those 5 elements. They couldn't do nothing but give me certificate innocence. That's why I didn't make no deals, and that's why I didn't let them take my certificate back. They called me the night before I went to front of the judge to drop the charges because they had SOJ Judge Hooks. I don't know if the public know this. Do you know when I was reversed the 3rd time, they removed Judge Neil Watts? Go to the archives. It's in the newspapers. Mm-hmm. It had Skaven's report. James Gibson has removed Judge Neil Watts and the appellate court order that Chief Judge appointed me to a new judge. He appointed me to Judge Hooks. And the special prosecutor, SOJ'd him, said Judge Hooks was too lenient on torture cases. And so the judge appointed me to this other judge, Mandalando or whatever his name is, and then they called me. They said, we'll let you go tomorrow, Mr. Gibson. All we want you to do is give us back the certificate of innocence, and we'll drop all charges. I say, man, I'm not giving back nothing. I want to go to trial. I'm demanding trial by jury, no continuation by stipulation, and the next day they drop the charges.
Now, who was the special prosecutor then?
Well, the special prosecutor at that time was Milan, but they hadn't ruled. They hadn't ruled that he was supposed to be removed yet.
Right. See, the reason, I'm a God-fearing man, and I know that God got a way of showing you what's really happening. Because right now, the new cover-up is the cloud of watch Smollett, and you won't see the racism that we engaged in on trying to take the state's attorney's office back. Watch Smollett. But none of those that's telling us to watch Smollett have said, watch Milan, watch Henley, watch all them assistant state's attorneys who are now judges, that when there was assistant state's attorneys, their names were involved in the cover-up and the prosecution of Chicago police torture victims. You follow what I'm saying? I'm talking about, man, I sit there and saw this in the court today. But just like you was informing the people, we both was right there at 26th in California. And I'm telling them the same thing. That judge in Milan ain't got no business being in the same courtroom doing any adjudication or prosecuting of any John Burge torture victims. Caller, I see you. Could you please call? State your name.
Yeah, James, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, James.
Okay, I'm glad that God is on Kim Foxx's side, but Barbara O'Reilly, Dan Weldon, and all of them came, and then the media is involved too. I think they all want Kim Foxx out, but she's not gonna get out. It's up to God. And when you tell the truth about stuff, about Justin Millett last week with that guy you had on your show.
Yeah.
And you were trying to get all the information out to us. And what you said is true about, okay, now if they're trying to ask the mayor about, somebody in the media asked the mayor, how did she feel about Justin Millett? And why she didn't show up when those two Chinese men got gunned down and in Chinatown?
You know, I'm hearing you, James, and from what I saw in the news, the mayor was very much concerned about the two people that got killed in Chinatown. You know what I mean? As she is concerned about individuals getting killed all over the city. But the one thing that's happening, and I'm glad you made mention of that, Dan Webb, the special prosecutor in the Smollett trial, and the judge that appointed Dan Webb to be the special prosecutor in the Smollett trial is the same judge, Tooman, whatever his name is the same judge that made Dan Webb the special prosecutor in the trial where Daley's nephew killed that young man on Rush Street. And Daley's nephew, Dan Webb, charged him or cut a deal with him where he got 60 days. 60 days for murder. Special prosecutor Dan Webb. The same special prosecutor talking about he indicted Smollett. Where he made it where Daddy's nephew got 60 days. And not only that, they knew that the police officers lied and covered up what happened on Rush Street, and Dan Webb made a decision not to indict them. The same Dan Webb, the special prosecutor that got appointed by the same judge in the Smollett case. So let's look at it in its totality, because voters, don't be fooled by this Smollett mess. Pay attention to Dan Webb, the special prosecutor, and the judge that appointed him, the same way that you got to pay attention to the special prosecutor that's in Gerald Reed's case, and the judge that's in Gerald Reed's case, and the people that's against Kim Foxx want to bring that same attitude and cover-ups back to the state's attorney's office. And I want to say this, Carter, before you come on. The young man that got killed on Rush Street, he wasn't an African American. And that's why the Sun-Times wrote all the stories. And that's why the Channel 5 News covered it, because they couldn't believe it. Corruption. Cover-ups. For the privileged. So you got the Tribune. You got John Cash, you got all them. Kim Foxx, let's. Tell the people about what happened in that courtroom today with those two corrupt individuals, Milan and Judge Henley. What they did was a crime. Caller, talk to me, please. Caller.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Eric Blackman.
How you doing, sir?
As well. Oh, I'm doing great. I'm exonerated as well. I've been home for a little bit over a year, and I just wanted to call and give my support to you all, and I couldn't agree more with what you all have to say. Yeah, and that's basically it. Just
hey, man, I want to say this. You got your ID and everything?
Yeah, I got everything. I'm doing great, man. I mean, I try to lend out as much help as I can.
My man, were you able to register to vote?
Oh, of course, sir.
My man,
of course. No
man, my thing is this. We got to tell them, and you can help me by sharing this.
Mm-hmm.
That brother they called earlier, he had did 30 years.
Yeah.
Brother Gibson, and he went to the law library, and he fought his case and everything. So brothers that go to the law libraries that end up coming out are the ones that's convincing others the importance of voting so that they can help set policy by electing the right people. And that's how this criminal justice reform piece come into play. Brother, I want to thank you. If you got a pen, let me give you my number, man. Ready? It's 312-371-6914. 312-371-6914. Call, I see you. State your name, please.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Richard, and everything you done said about Kim Foxx, I am thoroughly in your corner on this. Jesse Smollett, Bush, it's a distraction. Conway is supported by the federal, the
Fraternal Order Police.
Fraternal Order of the Police.
And white racists.
Anybody who should know it, knows that if you get a white man in there, he gonna send us to jail. Kim Foxx started letting those weed cases, she been letting them people get out that had been in there for the longest without being tried. So I don't understand. Our people ought to really pay attention to what's going on.
Right.
Kim Foxx needs to stay in there. We don't need to have no Conway or nobody else that's supported by the police.
Hey, they're supported by the crooked police.
Exactly.
You feel me? That's what I'm saying. And you know, all I can ask you, sister, to do, like I'm telling everyone to do, don't choke, vote. You follow what I'm saying? Okay? And my whole thing is this. We, through our social media networks, let people know what it is. Because you can Google what Gator's talking about is facts, not out my mouth. I'm covering it. That's why that I put up.
Judge is going to be.
Right. Hey, I just know 4 judges. That's Nate House for the Supreme Court. That's Michael Hyman for the Appellate Court. That's Deidre Bowman for the Circuit Court. That's Miss Tuna Layton for the Circuit Court. And I'm telling everybody, please, in Cook County, y'all made the decision. Black, white, A's, brown, Cook County voters made the decision to elect Kim Foxx. And she stood on what she said she was going to do. Change that system to make it fair. Criminal justice reform and public safety. We got to stand and protect what we put in there to be for all of us as we the people. Call, I see you. State your name, please. Caller. Caller. Disconnection. I want to say this. We need to ask the county board president to investigate Special Prosecutor Milan, because they put a motion in court the other day where they tried to change and go to another law firm to continue to do what they're doing now that they have got exposed. President Fredwinkle, County Board Commissioners, look into that, because just on Gerald Reed's case alone, the county has paid over $6 million to corrupt special prosecutors. Say no rumor that Gator's talking about. Check the names. If Milan wasn't the boss of that Judge Henley, whatever his name is, that was in courtroom 604 and made a decision, you see it all in the news, made a decision to reverse Judge Gaynor's court order to free Gerald Reed and give him a new trial. Call, I see you. State your name, please. Caller?
Chili.
Hello?
Kelly.
Okay, Kelly, talk to me.
Kelly, you know me, Gator.
Hey, man, talk, man, talk. Come on, I'm about to get off there. You on live.
How you gonna
Make your statement.
in the community?
Okay,
How
what's
you going to make
go ahead, I'm listening, brother.
change in the community?
Hey, my brother, are you registered to vote?
Yes, I am.
Then you're a great man in the community because your vote can make a difference in us keeping criminal justice reform in Cook County by re-electing Kim Foxx.
All right, I got you, Gator.
I appreciate your family. Thanks, man.
You already know.
All right.
Love.
Love, man. People, call, I see you. State your name, please.
This is James Gibson again.
Hey, James, my brother. Okay, come on, man. I got about 5 minutes, and it's all yours.
I want to say that Kim Foxx, man, is doing her job. It ain't a black, it ain't a white, it ain't a Latino, it ain't a Mexican issue. It's all about doing her job, due process of law, equal protection of law. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this hoop hop is all about. I want to set the record straight about that Jesse case. From my understanding, the assistant state's attorney, April Perry, was the one who had dropped the ball on that, but they don't know that she resigned 2 weeks ago because she was the one that dropped the ball on it, but they trying to throw Kim Foxx up under the bus because she's the state's attorney, she's the boss. But nevertheless, if we don't vote, we die.
Yeah.
Bottom line, because they not playing fair. You see what I'm saying? And there ain't been no state's attorney in the history of this country that gave black people, white people, Latinos, and Mexicans a fair shot in the Cook County courthouse since 1920.
Wow.
So if y'all don't go out there and vote for Kim Foxx, then be prepared for your kids and your grandkids to continue to die and go to jail.
Man. Amen. That's one of those, to God be the glory, and that's our story, ain't it?
God be the glory.
You know, Brother James,
Yes, sir.
when I stood there with you in October and been standing, and I'm sure, I want to say this, to all the supporters of criminal justice reform here in Cook County, throughout the state of Illinois, and across this country, I want to say hooray, hooray, hooray for your stance. You follow what I'm saying? And to God be the glory is becoming the rallying cry, because without God giving us the strength to endure, we couldn't. And when I saw you stand up there and like you said, I knew that meant something to you for Kim to apologize to you when she knew that she wasn't the one that brought this atrocity to you. But because she's a state's attorney, she's trying to right decades of corruption and wrong that has been in this. But people, pay attention to the judges' races.
Yes, sir.
Pay attention to the judges' races. And scream loud. Call your Cook County commissioners. You want to know what is Milan doing? You want to call Tim Evans, the chief judge of the circuit courts, and find out why didn't that judge recuse himself? And you want to demand that Reed get another hearing, or that it be an injunction on that Judge Henley's order before they send him back to the penitentiary? Free him, let that man out on bond. I want to say, I got to wrap it up. You know, I'm passionate about this criminal justice reform and public safety, because understand this. It's them today. It could be me tomorrow. But you will be next. To God be the glory. That's my story. Vote, don't choke.